Phil Norton is going to do some stuff for us. Thank you. Some stuff.
No, it's totally stuff. Tonight is stuff. I'm definitely going to do stuff tonight. I'm going to do two stuff for you. That's the plural of stuff. Stuff. I'm going to do two stuff. So stuff number one is a piece that this kind of poemy, songy thing that I wrote. I read this story, and it was in the late 90s. I was living in Australia, and there was this story in the newspaper about a woman, a 67-year-old retiree from Pensacola, Florida, named Mrs. Eudora Caskerson. And she had taken a wine bottle, filled it up with gasoline or something like that, filled it up with petrol, stuck a cloth into it, lit it on fire. A Molotov cocktail? Is that right? I always think it should be a Muzzle-Toff cocktail, but that's not right, is it? It's not the opposite of a Muzzle-Toff cocktail. Light it on. And she torched the local Shop and Save mall down to the ground. She went at night, no one was hurt, and the cops, when they questioned her, they said, what were you doing? Why did you do that? And she said, it was ruining the neighborhood. So this is for her. Well, the rain has stopped, and the sun is tumbling down the hill like a big red ball. But the kids aren't out, they're just shopping and grumbling. So Mrs. Caskerson decides to firebomb the mall. Now there's no more shoes, and there's no more Pentiums. The kids are running barefoot and their eyes are growing back. And the sun shines bright on the new millennium. And thanks to Mrs. Caskerson, we're back on track. 'Cause nothing sets things right quite like a terrorist attack. Especially by a grandma with a problem back. Yes, thanks to Mrs. Caskerson, we're back on track. Thank you. But now I think somebody's got to invent a Muzzle-Toff cocktail. Like, that's your homework. I want to see it on YouTube.
Borscht and vodka.
Borscht and vodka, there you go. Oh my goodness. This next one is just I don't know, it's cringy. I guess it's cringy. Oh, I forgot my bag. I have to show you something afterwards. Can you all see what it is? No, good. That's the whole point. This is a poem, a bit of a parable. There was a man, an old man with gray hair, a dirty face, and only one shoe. And he was by all rights and modes of definition and classification a bum. And he had the power of God, and he knew it. Now he would lie on the pavement and cradle his baby, his bottle of Wild Irish Rose whiskey, because it was 20% alcohol, that's 40 proof, and he didn't really have to care anyways, because he had the power of God, and he knew it. Now, One day it just so happened, or maybe it didn't happen just so, maybe the only way to say it is it happened, that these two cops walked by and felt moved by the sight of this man to do their duty. So they proceeded in an orderly fashion to start kicking this man while shouting at him, "Hey, hey, hey, old man, old bum, you get up and move along, okay?" I said, "Hey, hey, hey, old man, old bum, get up and move along." And that was generally the gist of what they were saying. And the man protested and he said, "Hey, hey, hey, what you doing? What you doing, man? I have the power of God, man. The power of God." And the cops said they didn't give an orderly fashion shit, and they just continued to kick him in the ribs while yelling at him, "Hey man, get up and move along." And the old man protested once more and said, "Hey, hey, hey man, you don't understand. I have the power of God. I have the power of God in this finger. I have the power in this finger to make a dog vomit. And that's the most powerful thing in the world." Now, maybe it was by the will of God or the devil, but there happened by, at that very moment, a dog. And that dog was lapping Wild Irish Rose whiskey off of the pavement and even smiling when the cops grabbed him by the neck, by the scruff of the neck, pulled him over to the old man, and they said, here you go, God, here you go, God." And the man said, "I am not God, I am not, but I have the power of God, and I know it." So the next time the dog opened his mouth to lick his lips, the old man very slowly and with more dexterity than most bums stuck his finger into the dog's mouth. And the dog bit it off. Took the whole goddamn power of God finger off at the knuckle without showing even signs of a drop of stomach acid. And then while being a dog that had the power of God inside it, it ran off down the block, down the street. And the cops ran after it, chased it, pursued it, in hopes of catching it and kicking it in the ribs with their power of God feet. The old man, the old bum, just sat there, looking at his hand. And he realized he'd have trouble holding his Wild Irish Rose, realized he'd have trouble holding the change for his Wild Irish Rose, realized he'd have trouble counting to 10. But he wasn't really sad. He just sat there, waiting for the next time God tried to stick a finger down his throat and make him vomit. He waited for that queasy feeling. He knew it would come soon. So he just sat there with his mouth open, staring at his hand, waiting for God. Thank you. It's not a yippee-ki-yay kind of ending story. But I was at this picnic today, and they said, would anybody like a finger cookie? And they had cookies that look like fingers. It's the cookie of God. So I just couldn't resist. Take that.
I really know what to say when you're finished, Phil. The other day I had my iTunes on a random kind of play, and all of a sudden, that might be Tom Waits, I thought it might be Cake, and then it turned out to be Phil. Preachermansays.com. Please look him up, it's worth listening to, right? Is that the right?
Yeah.
Preachermansays.com. Okay.